you?
What? Did you get it?
Yeah, I did, but can we not see it full screen or how does that?
Oh, yeah, you could just either go that way. You gotta just select whatever attachment.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. Okay.
I'd like to call the meeting of the Planning Commission to order. We'll start with the roll call. Jason Meerman, District 1, present. District 2.
Dave Bentrud, present.
District 3, Jason Crone, absent today. 4, Sean Blackburn, District 5.
Jacob Hawk, present.
At large, Rich.
Rich Blinkish.
At large, Tara.
Tara Assendorf, present.
And representing the county, Joe Persky.
Joe Persky, Stearns County Commissioner.
And just so folks know today, as the chair, I won't be voting unless I need to break a tie. And agenda item number 6 will be sent out, and you're not here? All right, how about now? Better? Hello? Okay. So agenda item number 6 today will be deferred because the person is unable to attend the meeting. So if you're here for agenda item number 6, sorry. Yep. Must be a Thursday. All right, so Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first agenda item for today is Peter and Mary Hansen, where we're going to consider a conditional use permit application submitted by Peter and Mary Hansen, Richmond, Minnesota, according to sections 4.8, 6.4.2, 9.2, and 9.7.5A of Stearns County Land Use and Zoning Ordinance number 439 to locate a detached accessory dwelling unit on the property. The proposed project is located in part of the south half of the southwest quarter of Section 8 of Luxembourg Township, 122/30. The property address is 18134 County Road 163, Richmond, Minnesota. If you're here today, please sit at the applicant table, and we'll start with the staff report.
All right, good evening, Planning Commission members. So as Jason outlined, the request for this item is to have a detached accessory dwelling unit on the property. So this property contains an existing home site, and the applicants would like to bring in a second home on the property as an accessory dwelling. The ordinance does allow that, being that this property is under 10 acres, it's considered as though it's zoned residential. So in a residential zone, a conditional use permit is required for a detached accessory dwelling unit. And this property is 3.64 acres. The underlying zoning is Ag 80, but being they're under 5 acres, they're considered residential 1. The property has an easement for access to County Road 163. The property, if you had a chance to go out there, you saw it's, for the most part, it's mowed yard. And they've got a home and then a large shed on the property. It's not in any of the overlay districts or areas of concern. There are no wetlands in the area. As to the performance standards, this is the first time you've seen an accessory dwelling unit before you. And they do meet the performance standards, being that they are using the same driveway as the current home. They're 1,000 square feet in size or less. They will be installing a septic system for both homes on the property. And all property line setbacks, feedlot setbacks are met. So yeah, they meet all the ordinance requirements. When we look at the area here, if you went out, you also saw that it's very much an agricultural area. When we go out a half a mile, there's only 6 homes within a half mile and 3 registered feedlots. It's in the ag area on the comprehensive plan future land use map. If the Planning Commission does recommend approval, the only condition we suggested would be that the property owner shall continue to live in one of the dwellings on the property, which is an ordinance requirement, but we would suggest adding it as a condition as well. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jennifer. For the applicants, please introduce yourselves and your address.
My name is Pete Hansen, 18134 County Road 163.
Mary Hanson, excuse me, same address, 18134 County Road 163. Richmond.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Do you have anything to add to the staff report?
No, not really.
Okay. Questions of the committee members? All right, we'll open the public hearing. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the public? Third go around, any comments from the public? I'll entertain a motion to close.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing closed. Any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Okay.
Could we also ask which members visited the site, please?
Oh, who visited the site? I visited the site. David,
Yes, I did.
Jacob,
I did.
Rich,
Yes, I did.
Tara,
No.
Joe.
Yes, I did.
Moving right along. Any correspondence,
Perfect.
Jennifer?
No, I didn't receive any correspondence from the public on this.
Okay. We've closed the public hearing. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to the findings of fact. Is the proposal consistent with the zoning ordinance? Why or why not?
Mr. Chair, it is in, excuse me, it is, it does meet the zoning ordinance, land use and zoning ordinance number 439, sections 4.8, 6.4.2, 9.2, and 9.7.5A.
Thank you. Does the proposal conform to the comprehensive plan of the county? Please list applicable sections.
Mr. Chair, I believe that it does well. I will highlight under living goals, support housing options that give people in all life stages and of all economic means viable choices for safe, stable, and affordable homes. There are others, but
Thank you. Is the proposal compatible with the existing neighborhood? Why or why not?
Mr. Chair, it is compatible. There are 6 homes in the area, and the feedlots are like a half mile from the property.
Thank you. Has the applicant demonstrated that standards and criteria stated in the ordinance will be satisfied?
It appears them trying to make the setting size appropriate and then following county rules for like septic and all those things are definitely an effort towards maintaining those criteria for the ordinances.
Perfect, thank you. Are there any other matters, issues pertinent to this matter, such as township or city input, federal, state, or local permits, environmental concerns, information submitted regarding the impact to property values, public health, safety, traffic, public service and facilities, financial assurance, or other items?
Mr. Chair, can I just mention, I forgot to mention this earlier, but Ms. Hanson did give me the minutes from the township meeting in May. They did visit with the township about it. The township made a motion to approve it, provided the county approves it. So they were okay with it.
Okay, thank you for that addition. Other items? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'd move, Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve the permit request that has been made.
I would like to add on to that with the recommendation that the owner lives in one of the 2.
Will you accept the amendment?
Yes, I will. That is the plan as I understand it.
Motion has been amended and accepted. Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. The county board will hear this
July 9th.
July 9th. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 2. To consider a conditional use permit application submitted by Chris and Catherine Schellinger of Avon, Minnesota, according to sections 4.8, 7.6.5, and 10.3 of Stearns County Land Use and Zoning Ordinance number 439, to create a conventional subdivision, standard plat, in the Conservation Design Overlay District. The proposed project is located in part of southwest corner of the northwest corner of Section 5 of Collegeville Township, 124/30. Property address is 31558 181st Avenue of Avon, Minnesota. If we can start, roll call of members who visited the site. David.
David, District 2, yes, I did.
Jacob.
I did.
Rich.
Yes, I did.
Tara.
I did not.
Joe. I did not. And Jason Wienerman did. Thank you for joining us. Staff report.
Okay. Becky, could we go to the drawing? Oh, might help. Survey, maybe? Yeah, the survey. Maybe the lot plan. Go down one to the lot plan. That might be better. Survey's so big. Perfect. Okay. So what the applicant is requesting to do is split this 13 acre property into 3 parcels. Being there in the Conservation Design Overlay, also known as the Avon Hills area, the ordinance states that the preferred method of splitting would be to do a conservation design. The property owner is asking for a conditional use permit to just do a standard plat rather than a conservation style design. So with the standard plat, there would be just it would be split up into lots and not a large area for set aside. So what the plan or the request would be to have the southern lot has the existing home. And the plan would be eventually that home will be removed and rebuilt back to meet the lake setback. The middle lot would accommodate a new home. That's the immediate plan, is to do a 2-lot plat, and then the application is also asking for an eventual 3rd lot down the road for an additional home site, as they show there. So, like I said, in a conservation design, you've got really small lots, and then 80% of the property is restricted as permanent open space. With it only being 11 acres, it's a little challenging because 20% divided into 3 lots is really small. So that's the application before you. The zoning is unique here where it's partially R1, kind of the south and east part, and then the north and west part is agricultural 40. And we are within shoreline of Kriegel Lake. Forgot to mention that. The parcel does have some wetland on it. There may be some wetland fringe along the lake. And other than that, there's wetland directly adjacent to the west. But they won't be impacted by the request. The access to the property is through an easement. It's 191st Avenue, but it is just a private driveway. And that access is up to County Road 9, so the new lots would all share that private driveway. When we look out a half a mile, we do see that this is a very residential area, a lot of rural residential lots and lakeshore properties. There is 1 registered feedlot within a half a mile. That's over 10 animal units, and there's 1 within a half mile under 10 animal units. The zoning is unique as well, where it's residential, it's agricultural, so a mixture that way too. And so the conventional subdivision review I outlined there in the ordinance, where the standards are, we talked through that. In the comprehensive plan, this is in the natural resource overlay on the future land use map. That is really all I have for the staff report, unless you have any questions. We would recommend, no conditions if you recommend approval, unless you come up with any.
I did have a question. It looks like the sites, building sites, are basically being built on the current driveway. I'm assuming, since it's private property, repositioning that driveway will have to happen. Are there any issues or rules related to that?
Yep, great question, Commissioner Benschoot. And we can also have the applicant speak to it and introduce himself as well. But I'll just take a stab at it quick. So the plan is that Chris does plan to relocate the driveway to the west, and it's drawn in on there amongst all the other lines on the plat. But he's talked with staff in our office about the necessary permits to move that driveway, and so that is the plan. There's also a property to the south that has access via that easement, so he has to make sure he provides access to that landowner as well. So yes, good question. It will be relocated, and even though it's not a road, I mean, it's a private driveway, but we do require an easement from it because it accesses 3 or more lots. So we do require a setback from it. So the proposed location will allow for them to still build and meet setbacks from that driveway.
Well, so can we have the applicant introduce themselves?
Chris Schillinger, 31556 101st Avenue, Avon. And should I add anything if you
Yeah,
want
if
me
you
to
have
now?
any additional comments, that would be great.
Okay, sure. Yeah, just to follow up on what Jennifer said, we did walk the property with Nick Newman to the proposed route of the driveway, just to make sure that there were no concerns, and he didn't have any concerns with that. So we would have I think a minor shoreline alteration permit to do that. A little bit of background on this, we were working on this for quite a while, and in good faith with staff and everybody. And I think it was the fact that the R1 was there that kind of threw people off. I'm very involved with Avon Hills, and if anybody else is more supportive of the overlay district, I'm right there with them. So it was with good intention that we were pursuing this and thinking, oh, well, we can, do this and standard subdivision and all of that. And it was actually the township that asked the question, well, aren't you in the overlay district? Wouldn't you have to do that? And in fact, yeah, staff looked into it a little bit more and said, oh, actually, we're supposed to do that. Well, we had done the survey and done all the work and everything. And so, and that's why we're asking for the conditional use permit. It's like, we believe we can meet all of the expectations of the overlay district with the set aside without having to go back and redo everything with the design overlay. And as Jennifer said, we're only asking in the preliminary plat right now for just the 2 lots, and the township, they did sign the preliminary plat, and they were the ones that asked the question, don't you need a convention, a design overlay? And after having some conversations, I don't know if they spoke with you, Jennifer, or just emailed back and forth, they're okay with it. That's, whatever that's worth. So happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Persky.
Yeah, I got a couple. Chris, I like what's, going on in Avon Hills. Awareness and protecting the environment there, so thank you, Rich. A couple questions about the driveway. Because you were the last one then on the end, and that also has access to the lake, is that correct?
The lot on the south piece right there,
Yeah.
the south one, that has access to the lake. We would be building a home just to the north. My daughter would be purchasing ours,
Okay.
and we would not have access.
Okay. And then there are other parcels then to the right of that, is that correct, that do go on the lake, is that correct?
Right.
And
There are 14 lots in Wickman Farbdale Estates. They were, I believe the very first project that had 50% set aside.
Okay.
This is early mid-'80s. So, yeah, that land from there to County Road 9 is part of their set aside.
Right, and that's all on that private drive?
Well, none of that land borders the private drive. I mean, some of it it borders the private drive, but they have no access
I
to
see.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so if I could just, add on a little bit. So this is the development that those lot owners commonly own, this outlot, which has access up here on County Road 9, and they don't use 191st?
No. They've asked to, but they don't.
Okay.
There was supposed to be a landing for those 14 lots put in on the northeast corner of that development, and it never went in. And so now they don't have a place to put their boats in unless they can get it in on their lot.
Okay, so that's just a common outlot?
Of those 14 lots,
Yeah.
that's undivided 1/14th interest in that, just like the outlot to the east of there too, down in the creek bottom.
Okay. And anyway, back to the drive, that being a private drive, my concern is emergency vehicles. Will that meet the standards for emergency vehicles?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, they've been down it, and then I'm happy to walk that with, say, Avon Fire Department, make sure we're not creating any turns that they can't
Okay.
maneuver.
And so saying that there would be no conditions, I guess I would have that considered just that.
Yeah,
they would have
I think that's a fair
accessibility,
one.
emergency service. Is that
I think
legitimate?
that's one we would want, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we'd want somebody to be able to get to us, for sure.
Okay, good. Let's see.
Just so I'm clear, which lots are we looking to approve tonight?
Yeah, the request is to authorize 3 lots to be created via conventional subdivision. And then if the conditional use permit is approved, his plan is to immediately do a 2-lot plat. And then that 3rd lot may come in a few years down the road.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, that was my other question, Dave, is about that 3rd lot. Why is that lot not being platted?
Well, it's a cost issue for us, frankly. That's part of why we're not doing it, is just the added cost of surveying for that and having a separate standalone lot that is not, residential. It's not our homestead and so forth.
Okay, I'm going to just be concerned is that, can that other piece then be split again and actually involve more than one dwelling then? The piece that doesn't get platted?
Yeah, and I think it can't, and I think you can explain that better than I can, Jennifer.
Yeah, correct. So if the conditional use permit authorizes 3 lots, that's all that could happen, unless he would come back before the Planning Commission for another CUP. And actually, with the way the zoning is out there, there's not room to have another home in the R1 district. He'd have to ask for rezoning first, and then another conditional use permit to create a 4th lot.
Right.
Yeah, so really 3 under the current zoning, 3 is all that would fit.
But I'm a little bit confused why you wouldn't plat that. Would be the cost? I mean, if you're having the entire piece surveyed to create the 2, why wouldn't just the remaining piece be the existing lot? There would be no additional cost, would there not?
Well, and I haven't actually gone across, second floor to the assessors and say, if we have a 3rd lot that is a buildable lot and separate, what would the taxes be on that? That's the consideration, Commissioner, for us.
Okay.
And I mean, it's not really relevant to this, but how this all started was, we're just going to do 2 lots. And then my wife says, well, we promised our daughter a lot if she wanted it. I said, well, I didn't promise her a lot.
Okay.
I'm sitting here, and I don't know why she's not sitting here, but.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, what I'm
So it may
doing-
not happen, and I'm not in any, I don't want any more neighbors if I don't have to, even if it is my daughter. So I mean, that's also part of it too. It may not make a lot of sense,
But it's going to be a parcel. It'll be separate. Will it be part of the 2nd lot, or will it be divided as an outlot? What will that 3rd piece be? If you're going to develop 2 lots, or are you
it's just going to be in block 1. Yeah, it won't be a 3rd lot.
Okay,
It'll
so-
just be the 2 lots right now.
Okay, then we're not developing 3 lots. We're just developing 2 lots.
Right now, correct.
Correct,
Yep,
okay.
Yep. I mean, I should let you answer the question.
Yeah, the conditional use permit, the request that's before you is to do 3 lots. The plat that he's submitted and working on is a minor plat, so it doesn't come before the Planning Commission, so you don't actually have to approve the plat. So we approved that as staff, but the conditional use permit is asking for 3 lots, and then the plat he's gonna record in the near future is just gonna be 2. And if the CUP is approved for 3, then he can come back and do a 3rd down the road.
Jennifer, sorry if I may, isn't kind of the meat of the conditional use permit that we're asking for is to do a standard subdivision instead of a design overlay?
Yep, a standard subdivision with up to 3 lots, yep,
Okay.
yep.
Mr. Chair, I have a couple more questions if I could. just to clarify, the home to be removed, are we talking about just moving it back or just tearing it down, or what are we talking about there?
It would be tore down. It's not a well-built house. Yeah, it's 60 feet from the lake. It'd be tore down. We do what we need to do there, and
So
then it would be
rebuild something.
back
set
100
back a little
feet.
bit,
Right, yeah. So it would meet the setbacks for the ordinance.
The other two lots potentially there, with that community property, is that considered lakeshore then? Those two new lots, they would not be,
Correct, they would not be,
Okay.
they would not have lakeshore frontage. If his daughter's kind enough to let him go through her property to get to the lake, that's one thing, but
okay.
they'd have no
Got it.
legal access.
And is there trails in that common property? Is it being used for anything?
No.
Okay, got it.
I mean, occasionally somebody walks through there. I might walk my dog through there, you know. I think one of the other folks cuts some wood there once in a while along the driveway, but it's not really being used for anything.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll open the public comment. Any public comment? Any public comment? Last chance, any public comment? I'll entertain a motion.
I just have one letter.
Yes, correspondence.
Okay, it says, "Hi Jennifer, after understanding Chris and Kathy Schellinger's request for a conventional subdivision, we would be happy to see their project approved as they have submitted, with the understanding that they do not have an easement or access to Kriegel Lake through any part of the property owned by Weekman's Farmdale Estates, of which we have a common interest. Respectfully, Randy and Sandy Clocker, and they are located at 31617 Marigold Lane. They're one of those lots on the east side of the lake."
All right, thank you. So I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move to close.
Motion by Dave,
I will
second.
second.
Second by Rich. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing is closed. Any further discussion?
Question for staff, maybe. On those 3 lots, does the practice of cutting a 50-foot wide swath through the trees to see the lake, does that still apply here?
Yeah, good question. A view corridor, any property within 100 feet of the lake is, vegetation removal is limited in the ordinance to a 25-foot view corridor. So
25.
that's what is allowed, yeah.
But that wouldn't be, sorry, may I? But that would not apply here because we don't own any of the land between our property and the lake. That's all common land for across the lake. So I would be in a different room if we tried to do that. Yeah, it would look like.
Okay, thanks.
Any further discussion?
One more question. The cost to reposition 181st Avenue or street, was it? That's on the homeowner?
Yes, that's correct.
Further discussion? All right, moving on to the findings of fact. Is the proposal consistent with the zoning ordinance? Why or why not?
Mr. Chair, the proposal is consistent with zoning ordinance 439, sections 4.8 and 7.6.
Thank you. Does the proposal conform to the comprehensive plan of the county? Please list applicable sections if it does.
Oh, Mr. Chair, similar to the first one, I would say under living goals, support housing options that give people in all life stages and all economic means viable choices for safe, stable, and affordable homes. And then likewise, agricultural residential use policies, residential uses in agricultural areas must be embraced a comprehensive plan, future land use factors to minimize conflicts between adjacent land use uses and natural resources, and I think this project does that well, so.
Thank you. Is the proposal compatible with the existing neighborhood? Why or why not?
Mr. Chair, I would say that it's consistent with the other lots on the other side of the lake, and it seems appropriate for the area.
How has the applicant demonstrated that the standards and criteria stated in the ordinance will be satisfied?
Mr. Chair, I think the information that the applicant has provided in the staff report shows that they have met those requirements.
Thank you. Are there other issues pertinent to this matter?
Mr. Chair, would you just include, like I had mentioned, private drive should be constructed to facilitate emergency vehicles?
Yep.
Okay.
And also, this is the reason we're doing conditional use is because this is in the conservation design overlay. So it's a little different, but the unique nature of the parcel makes this a valid reason to do this. So, any other comments? So I'll entertain a motion on this item, considering Commissioner Persky's condition that the access point be compatible with emergency vehicle uses. That is up for the board to discuss.
Mr. Chair, I will move for approval with that condition.
We have a motion with the condition. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. This will be heard at the next County Commissioner Board meeting. Thank you for visiting.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Jim. Do you want it? Do you need it? I do need it. You can have it. I don't have a copy of it because Al kept the other one, but that's all right. I'll scan it and okay. I'll get it back.
Are we ready? Okay. Item number 3 on the agenda is to consider conditional use permit applications submitted by Mitchell Wicker and John and Mary K. Wicker of Kimball, Minnesota, according to sections 6.9.3D and 9.2 of the Stearns County Land Use and Zoning Ordinance number 439 to expand and construct on a feedlot above 700 animal units. The expansion will consist of a 64 by 140 foot steer barn, 32 by 48 foot permanent manure stockpile, and an increase to 999.1 animal units consisting of beef animals, swine, and chickens. The proposed project is located in the southwest corner of the northeast quarter of Section 16 of Main Prairie Township, 122/29. The property address is 17690 County Road 48, Kimball, Minnesota. Members who attended. I did, so Jason Wienerman attended.
Dave Bedford, District 2, was there, visited.
Jacob.
I was there, yep.
Rich.
Yes, I was there.
Tara.
Yes.
And Commissioner Persky.
Yes.
Okay, we'll begin with the staff report.
Good evening. So, the Wickers are proposing to increase their animal units. They are looking to put up a new steer barn with an attached stacking slab and add the applicable steers. They will be doing concrete flooring for both of the structures, and there will also be a 6-foot overhang on the barn, so total outside dimensions with the roof will be 70 by 144. That was something I forgot to add to the staff report. Sorry about that. One important thing to note, there is no further encroachment towards the lake to the south-southeast. I don't know if you want to scroll down. See the last map. Yep. So the closest barn is currently about 475 feet. The proposed structures will be around 696 or 656. Can't read that number there. 656. I inspected the site on May 6th, 2024. They were compliant for all water quality discharge standards. They're also compliant for their manure record keeping and manure management planning. One important thing to note that was brought up during the Feedlot Review Committee by Dennis Fuchs at the Soil and Water District is that they are a Minnesota Ag Water Quality certified site. So they do have that through Soil and Water. They do have a previous CUP as well for the expansion of barn number 5 and for an animal unit expansion back in 2012. They are compliant with those conditions as well, which were to maintain manure records and to let us know when they were done constructing. There are no valid complaints on file for this feedlot. The unnamed lake to the south-southeast is not on any impaired waters list. There are 16 residences and 6 existing feedlots within 1 mile of this feedlot. The nearest home that's not owned by the Wickers is 1,249 feet away. Current access is via County Road 48. An environmental assessment worksheet, environmental impact statement, state disposal system, or feedlot national pollution discharge elimination system permit were not required for this site at this time. And I did not receive any correspondence from the public. I'm just putting that out there for now. The staff recommends that 2 conditions be placed on the permit for the owners to construct all proposed improvements according to plans, specifications, and guidelines submitted with the application, unless otherwise approved by the Environmental Services Department, and that the owner shall contact the Environmental Services Department within 3 days of construction completion so a post-construction inspection may be completed.
Thank you. Applicants, name and address, please.
Mitchell Wicker, 17690 County Road 48.
John Wicker, 17703 County Road 48.
Do you have any additions to the staff report?
Not
I
really.
have none. I think it was pretty thorough.
Yeah, that was very well done.
Our staff does a great job. Questions from the board? That's how good a job they do. I'll open the public hearing. Any comments from the public? Can you come to the, yep. And name and address, please.
My name is Jim Fuchs. Address is 713, what the hell's our address? 17315 County Road 48.
Yes, thank you.
What is the blue dashed line on the map?
The blue dashed line is the shoreland line, so it's 1,000 feet from the ordinary high water point of the lake.
Thank you.
No problem. I should have clarified that. That's my bad.
He's our neighbor to the south, and he's not quite on that map. He's across directly west of that so-called lake there. And yeah, and I was much surprised that when I permitted the first barn back in '97, barn number I think 4 it was, there was talk of a lake there, and that my dad was alive at that time, and he goes, lake? He said that's never, I mean, and I remember as a kid always being hate. And in the 80s, the DNR put a dam in to stop the northerns from spawning up in, in spawning and not getting back to the lake. So the DNR put a dam, I don't know, it was the early 80s, 81, 82, I'm saying around there. And ever since then, we've had, you know, water standing there. Otherwise, that was never, it was always just a marsh kind of, but, so yeah, that blue line. And Jim's had more of his share of fun with shoreland where he lives too, but.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments from the public? Any other comments from the public? Going a third time, any other comments from the public? Hearing none, there was no correspondence, correct?
No correspondence.
So I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Rich made a move.
Second.
Dave seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Public hearing is closed. Further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead. Yes.
just curious, you know, with all the rain, then how much has the water come up on that lake?
What would you say, Jim? I mean, it's a little higher, but.
From a depth of 28 inches to about 33.
Okay, yeah, it's just amazing to me to see that was a high water mark, and then it was still on the map, yeah.
Well, that blue you see there, there's no water. I mean, it's
kind of marshy area.
Yeah, that's all cattail. There's no standing water.
Okay.
That's a little misleading on the picture. There you can see where the water really is, so. But there is, I say they dammed it, there's a culvert with a grate at it, so the water there is an exit for that
Okay.
wetland, yeah. It flows directly into Pearl Lake.
Other discussion from the board? Hearing none, we'll move to the finding of facts. Is the proposal consistent with the Stearns County zoning ordinance number 439? If so, please specify all performance standards that apply.
Mr. Chair, it is consistent with the land use zoning ordinance 439, section 6.9.3 D and 9.2.
Thank you. Is there an environmental assessment worksheet, environmental impact statement, national pollution discharge elimination system, state disposal system, or other permit required for this facility?
Mr. Chair, there is not.
Thank you. Does the proposal conform to the goals and objectives of the county's comprehensive land use plan? If so, please specify the appropriate sections.
Mr. Chair, I would say that it does comply with the comprehensive plan, specifically agricultural use policies. There are several. Item 1, primary land uses in the agricultural area should be agriculturally oriented, including animal agriculture, crop production. Item 2, the importance of animal agriculture to the county economy by treating it as a priority land use in this area. And number 3, encourage agricultural practices that allow for coexistence with sensitive natural resources. So it does comply with the planning ordinance.
Thank you. Will the site configuration, number and type of animals at this site, and prevailing wind conditions impact any of the following areas? Traffic, public safety, schools, parks, churches, and other municipal residential areas, or other impacts? If there are others, please specify.
Mr. Chair, I would say that would impact minimal on them.
Thank you. Has information been provided regarding the impact of property values in the area as a result of the proposal?
No, Mr. Chair, I don't believe that information was provided.
Thank you. Have all recommendations from the Feedlot Review Committee and Feedlot staff been reviewed?
Mr. Chair, on the report from the feedlot representative, all paperwork was good to go.
Great, thank you. And are there other issues pertinent to this matter? If so, please specify.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to point out again that they have gone through the Minnesota Egg Water Quality Certification Program and are certified.
Thank you, Tara. So moving through the findings of fact, I will entertain a motion on this matter before the hand. And remember, the staff has 2 recommendations that we may want to consider as conditions.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve with those 2 recommendations.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed. Motion passes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
This will be heard at the next county commission meeting. I'm working too fast. Ready? All right. Agenda item number 4, to consider a rezoning request submitted by Brian Fredericks, Sauk Center, Minnesota, on behalf of Mark P. Fiedler Revocable Trust, Sauk Center, Minnesota, according to sections 4.10 of Stearns County Land Use and Zoning Ordinance number 439, to rezone approximately 23 acres from the residential 1 R1 zoning district to the residential 5 R5 zoning district. The property is part of the east half of the northeast quarter and part of the northeast quarter southeast quarter lying east of State Highway 71 and north of State Highway 28 in Section 3 of the Sauk Center Township, 126/34. Members who visited. I visited. Dave.
Yes, I did.
Jacob.
I did.
Rich.
Yes, I did.
Tara.
I did.
Joe.
Yes.
All right, staff report.
So the request is to take the 23 acres and change the zoning from R1 to R5. Currently, the property has a shed on it, and that is all. There's no homes on it at the current time. The purpose of the rezoning would be to, if it's approved, they would do a plat and split it. The new lot, which would be on the south side of the property, the applicant is requesting to build a shed house, or otherwise known as a shouse. And the township actually doesn't allow those in the R1 zone. So that's why they're requesting to change it to R5. And if it's approved, then the applicant would be able to build the shouse. They also have plans to have a wrestling gym as part of that shouse. That would be allowed. It could be allowed as a home occupation or home extended business. That would be up to the township. They would be the permit authority because it would be outside of shoreland. So they do all permitting outside of shoreland per our memorandum of understanding. As was mentioned, the property is at the corner of State Highway 71 and State Highway 28. And it also has access on the north side from a township road, and on the east side there's a small little bit of access to that township road. I'll point it out here. Oops. Right here, there's a sliver of land where they would have access to it. There's actually a platted township road right there. So that is where the applicant plans to come into the property once the plat is done.
Can I see that again? Where?
Yep. Right here. If I can hold my hand steady. So you've got the Highway 28 right-of-way. And then if you keep that line going straight, the 28 right-of-way, that little gap, and there's a 66-foot dedicated road right-of-way, which is obviously not a road. There's not a road built there, but that's where the driveway would come in for the new lot. So if you were out there, well, you all did visit, you saw how high in elevation the property is off of the state highways. It's actually hard to see into the property at all. But the plan at this time would be to do 2 lots. If the rezoning is approved, they would have an option of doing, in an R5 zone, they could do up to 4 lots on 23 acres. Looking at the area as a whole, we've got the city of Sauk Center directly to the west. That's the pink. And then, all the way around it is pretty much residential. Down Highway 71 to the south, there's some commercial businesses there that you drive by when you go out there. But primarily it's a residential area. If we can flip down one more page to the zoning map, and you can see the mixture of zoning in this area. There's a large area of R1. We've got the city to the west again, Ag 80 to the south, and then we've got the R5 heading east. That's land that's been developed and it's been rezoned and platted within the last 3-4 years, that R5 area. The applicant did go to Sauk Center Township. They recommended approval of the rezoning. On the future land use map and the comp plan, this is in the concentrated development area. And that's all I have for the staff report.
Applicant, name and address, please.
Brian Fredericks, 26 Heritage Lane, Sauk Center, Minnesota. Jen did a great job. I don't, just want to be able to rezone it so it can do a shed house because that land isn't much for agriculture or anything, so it's like to use it for different reasons.
All right, thank you. From the board, questions from the board?
I have a question. So this seems to come up again and again, but why are we going through and approving a township rezoning just because they don't want a house in an R1 and now we're rezoning again to make up for what they say that they want in their ordinance, however they recommended this anyway? Just occurs over and over again.
Yeah, that's a great observation, and I really don't have a response to it.
Is this what you, the applicant, is this what you want to do? Because I just, and I just am doing this for Commissioner Persky's to maybe potentially bring up as a discussion item again for the county board of, you know, it looks to me like, if I'm understanding this correctly, if you were at a residential 1, which it currently is, you could at a future time develop that property to have a lot more lots in it and have a lot more flexibility.
A lot more lots.
Right, but I'm just saying if at any point like there was options and now because of this you're limiting the options.
Well, Mark Fiddler tried years ago to do this, and because Austin North had their feedlot to the south,
Yep.
they couldn't do it, or they couldn't divide it up.
Right.
And now there's an opportunity to move on because he's moved on out of Sauk Center too. That he wants the land gone, and
So, to build on Tara's question, with it being an R1 now, according to county standards, they can do what they want to do within the county zoning, right?
That's correct.
Right.
So, as we did with the vacation home,
And another one too.
we're being asked to clean up a county concern.
A township
Township.
concern.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions from the board?
Mr. Chair, Dave, you have one?
Yes, just to want to clarify, okay, going to an R5, this Schaus, make sure I say that right. Are you going to be living there?
Yes.
In addition to having a business?
correct. Okay. You have to live there with an R5 to the business.
I wasn't sure if that's going to be your residence.
Yes,
I heard about the
it will.
wrestling, but okay, got it.
Mr. Chair, when you say you want to build a house, what's the difference between building a house and a regular dwelling? What makes it a house?
Just easier to build and everything's right there, so I don't have to go.
Yeah, and I could add on to that too, Commissioner Persky. The provision, so the township zoning ordinance, you're not going to find the word house in there. They don't explicitly say they don't allow a house. But what the ordinance prohibits is having a dwelling where your garage size exceeds your living space. They prohibit that. And typically that's common what you see in a house where the garage space is quite a bit bigger than the living space. They prohibit that in R1. And so that's what led to the rezoning request.
Okay, but this is going to be your residence, correct?
Yes, it is, Commissioner.
Okay, I'm just curious, what's the difference on a contract, on a deed, between a regular dwelling and a house?
The difference in this case will be that the garage space will be bigger than the house, and so he couldn't do that in the R1. And I think, you know, the other difference, most commonly when you think of a house, it's the siding is, it's like a
Tin.
yeah, a tin.
Steel siding.
Yeah.
Okay.
But one more question on that. Is there a difference if you were to build two separate buildings, one a garage of such size and one a house? Would they still be able to do that in their current zoning with the same footprint?
Actually, no, because then when the business is in a separate structure from the house, that's a home extended business and not a home occupation. And a home occupation is allowed in the current R1. A home extended business is not, so they would need the R5.
Mr. Chair, Chair, I agree. I'm a little frustrated with the township, just in that, you know, they seem to come to us to fix their problems instead of, you know, having it within their own ordinance. That's a little disturbing, but that's so it is. What I like about the proposal is that if I would like to see this actually put into 4 different parcels of 5 acres, that would be quite nice. And the reason for that, it would have less impact on the lake. And I think environmentally, I think that would be perhaps a better thing to do if that's your overall plan. But you're going to be putting the house on a 5-acre piece. Then the other piece will be unplatted, the other 15 acres. Is that correct?
You want to see what the plot looks like? I don't know if you.
Well, no, you can just tell me.
It's divided in half, and the lower half, the east side, it's down in a low valley. Like all the water's gonna run down in there. I wouldn't want a house down in that area. You have to worry about water, especially like this year.
Okay, and so what I'm saying is I wouldn't mind seeing it developed into 4 parcels and each having I don't know how you're going to do the access to them, but
that's another issue is the access to it. So
okay, and then I also was going to ask about the access off the state highway or the highway. Is that a legal access?
The one that's currently on 71?
Right, the one on 71.
I can't say for sure.
Okay.
So I talked to them. They just have to re-permit it because right now it's agricultural.
Yeah.
And they have to get a different permit for it.
And so if you were to replat it, I would like to see that removed and find access off that, just for safety reasons. Because having a residential area coming off onto 71 would not be a preference.
Can I use your red pointer?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if that's possible.
So you're concerned with this right here?
Yeah.
Right. So this right here, it's a low spot.
Yeah.
That they use to put in for the narrows up here. They call it the narrows. I don't know if it's whatever. So this is low. So to get access here to up here is going to be difficult.
Okay.
Township didn't express any interest whatsoever in putting something through here. So this got divided too.
This property bound by those other homes on the.
So at one time I was told there was another easement up here, but now there's a septic system on the easement. I don't know if that's the case. That's what I heard. That I don't know on. But somebody asked me, and so it's the line goes through here. So it's only 21 acres. This would be 10. This would be 11 something. This, if I ever divided it, would have come off this right here for those two. This, if they came off here, then they talked about having one possibly coming off here at the township board meeting.
Okay.
Huge concern is this right here. It goes pretty down, pretty low.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
I think you were out there, weren't you? I'm guessing so.
Other questions from the members? Hearing none, I'll open the public hearing. Public comment? Please come forward to the table and state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Donna Fremming, or Donna Macadon, 39636 Yellow Pine Drive.
I'm Charlie Macadon from Donna's spouse, same address. We have some questions. This is a parcel of property right across the street from us. Where are they going to get their water and sewer?
Okay. Next question?
Point, point being, everyone out there is a well and a septic, all approved years ago. And if there's going to be a gymnasium there, I don't personally think the Minnesota Department of Health is going to allow a septic tank to service a gymnasium with showers, extra people in there, extra toiletries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to take more than a septic tank and a well to service this area. Our concern is, where's that water and sewer going to come from?
Okay.
And if the city annexes it, what's it gonna do to us? The other 50 residents over there, knock, knock. You're gonna have to convert over to water and sewer, et cetera. That was our concern. And that's one of our concerns, that we would have to be pretty much forced to in the future. And if we don't convert over to water and sewer ourselves, then we will not be able to perhaps sell our residents in the future until we do correct that.
Okay.
So that's a big problem. Right now, also, I don't know where they're coming from, but there's either sheep or goats up in there. They're baying at night. You can see them when you're walking along the edge of the highway up there. Somebody's using it for agriculture. I don't know who, and I don't care. It's just that they're baying at night. Let's see here. My main concern again is the water and sewer for the shouts, especially. You know, you can understand a gymnasium is going to have more than one person there. You know what I mean? It's anticipate that, and it's going to require more than a 1,000-gallon septic tank, in my opinion. And water, you know, it's going to be taxed. There will be extra toilets and stuff have to be required. And we're getting involved then with the Minnesota Department of Health. Has all of that been looked into yet? That's my question. Now, and I'm just wondering, once this gets developed, then I don't know, Brian, what your plans are, but I'm concerned about with the water and city that we get in next to the city, and that concerns all of us. The other point I have is on the application that John Basil signed, he said no one opposed it. I'd like to know who was at that meeting, because we didn't even know about it. The first we heard about it was this letter that we got. Point of interest, sir.
Yes.
The township had absolutely no meetings with the people that live there. Okay, Mr. Basil. His letter, his endorsement on the packet here is wrong. No one. And he says it was approved by everybody. That's wrong, sir.
There's no opposition.
That's wrong. That's incorrect. That was the township's position, that they approved it. We had no meetings. We had no meetings. We were not invited. And also, let's see here. Yeah, I had, to understand this further, I contacted our county commissioner, Mr. Notch, Steve Notch, and he came out and visited with me and explained more to it. Now, we knew nothing about a shouts at all, or a house or anything. And we got a letter from the county here, you know, from the board here, and that's all we knew. Well, then today, Mr. Notch told us that there was going to be a shouts put on there with a gymnasium. We looked it up on the computer, and today we find all these details about Mr. Basil approved it at the recommendation, all members of the people that live out there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And as you can see where this is going, where it's not desired by the people that live out there. I can only speak for myself, but it was not handled properly.
And I'd say most of the people are not concerned about it being an R5 as opposed to an R1.
Right.
We are concerned about the water, the city, sewer maintenance and that type of thing.
Okay, thank you.
You can see if they put water and sewer in from the city, of course, here comes the assessments. Here comes the monthly water bills, et cetera, the water sewer bills, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know, we thought we went through all that several years ago when they put in wells and septics according to regulation. That's our concern. It's a At this point in time, it's undesirable, sir. We request that you deny it at this point until, like my wife said, R5, we have no problem with R5 or changing from R1 to R5, you know, which would allow it to be single-family homes in there at R5 or whatever, up to 4 of them, I think it is, or 5, something like that. No problems with that at all. They would all have, of course, their own septic, their own wells, and etc. We thank you very much for your attention to this issue, and we request that it be set aside at this time.
Great, thank you for your comments.
Much, sir.
Yep, so noted, thank you. Applicant, any response at the time, or?
I don't know all the questions. I don't remember. I should probably wrote that down.
So we had one about the well water and the sewer.
Talked to a well person. They did express some concern of possibly granite, running into granite. But the wells that they have drilled around there have been shouldn't be no issue getting water for the required water. Sewer will be designed to meet the needs of whatever the times that the gym's going to be used isn't that often. So to be used like 24/7 gym, it's not. It's going to be used mainly for high school practices and some camps. Not going to be like I said, not a 24/7 gym. No desire to go that route. The desired purpose was because the school districts in Sauk Center Melrose don't have the facilities for it, and there just isn't facilities for it. And it's a sport I love, so I've been working with Jennifer and a whole bunch of people make this work. As far as the township board, it was, if I remember right, it was open to the public. Missy said there was stuff sent out, because there was people there, and nobody opposed it at the meeting. They just wanted to know what was going on.
Okay.
So.
And then Jennifer, just a quick question. For the city annexing and putting water and sewer out there, that's an unknowable for the future, right?
It is, and typically cities don't annex unless they're requested to. So with the property being as large as it is and the soils out there, I'm looking at the soils map right now. They look like they're decent soils. I would expect that there'd be suitable space for a sewer system of whatever size is needed, but that would be what Brian would have designed and figured out before permits would be issued.
All right, Dave first.
Well, the property in question here is in the township.
Correct.
So, and I respect the public input that we got, but their complaint or concern about city sewer and water is irrelevant at this time, because unless there's an annexation that takes place, which probably would affect them as well, I don't see this as an issue. It's not. It's now having a well and a septic to accommodate a house that might have some extra. That probably is a concern, but I don't know that we can make a decision based on a concern about what might happen, what action the city of Sauk Center might take in the future. It doesn't seem to be consistent.
Commissioner Person.
Yeah, and Dave, I was going to ask about that too. It doesn't seem the annexation is really not the issue. It's what can be done on that R5. We're making the change on the zoning, and so we're looking at putting these into R5. As far as development on the property, are we talking about a septic system, or are we talking about a tank system? And either one would have to be approved, correct?
That's correct, and it will need to be a tank and drain field for the home. The gymnasium part could be hooked up all into the same system. They could elect to do a separate system. There's ordinance requirements. If it's low flow, they could get by with a tank, but I'm guessing it won't meet that requirement. They'll probably have to put a tank and drain field in.
Okay, tonight, we're just talking about switching the zoning.
Correct.
The use of a gymnasium, is that gonna require a separate meeting?
That's a provisional use, which does not require a public hearing
Okay,
for a home occupation. And again, that's a township call. They get to, the township does the permitting outside of shoreline, so the township makes the call. If they feel this fits as a home occupation, then that's their decision to make.
yeah. Again, it's interesting that they'll wash their hands on the zoning, but yet they'll wanna go ahead and control the use. Yeah.
Rich, did I see?
Oh, I was just gonna ask staff, where I currently live, when we built, they told us, all the septic systems were being engineered for 15 years of use. So my question is, all the homes that are, I'm gonna say to the right here, what vintage are those? Anybody know? I mean, if all of a sudden they have septic systems failing one after another, the recourse is what? Are those lots large enough to do another drain field? Or are they gonna have to ask for an annexation into the city? I mean, I'm looking beyond the use of this acreage and the rezoning. I just have some concerns about, they may be faced with annexation much sooner. And then when you look at the land that's being questioned for tonight, what would be the appropriate use? I mean, in regards to that land? As far as I look at the future and I see, should be probably platted to fit the development that we see to the right and towards the lake. It's residential one.
Yeah, I would agree. I see that neighborhood, I mean,
And that's what it is,
very
it's a
likely to
neighborhood.
be annexed at some point.
Yep.
And I appreciate their concern about that. I understand the implications of that, but I don't believe that we can table this, or should, based on the potential for that annexation. I don't think this application is gonna trigger that.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
There is R5 to the east too. That's not on the map that you can see either.
Going
There we
that
go.
way. Yep.
I mean, Mr. Chair, if I could, I mean,
That was.
how do you envision the use of this as far as a wrestling facility? I mean, are you anticipating your wrestlers, having a locker room shower? I mean,
Nope.
I
No,
mean,
it's
they
strictly
would
just
just come in, practice, and then probably go home, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's,
Yep.
so yeah, okay.
And there's not going to be like a, we want to say group staying there or anything like that. The plan is just practices and people go home.
Right.
All right, so other questions from the public?
Yeah, one more.
Yes.
Yep, I find, it being admirable to provide this opportunity to kids. I got a lot of respect for the sport as well. And so you're saying that it would be a practice area only, so there would be no competition there unless it would be a small competition?
We're talking maybe youth,
Yeah.
like youth duels, like, because it's small.
Not like tournaments or things
No,
like that, no.
no, that you couldn't have the seating or anything like that because it required way too much work.
And then, of course, you'd have to have restroom facilities for everybody too, then, if you
Yeah.
did something like that, so.
It's already been questioned by, I went to the high school and it's handicap accessible, it's gonna have to be all that kind of stuff, so it's,
And curious, what type of dimensions were you thinking?
it's 100 by 200 roughly. I thought about two structures, but it's like cost effectiveness was one building over two.
Okay.
Jennifer, so video stopped? Have we lost our connection or?
I think it's been the whole time.
Okay. Other questions from the public? One more? Yep. Please come to the table and just state your name again.
Again, my name is Charlie Macadon. Gotta read this here. 39636 Yellow Pine Drive. I can't understand why the township, under their chair, could submit a letter of approval stating that the citizens approved it. Where is anyone from the township board? Where? This sounded like a hit and miss to me. None of us were invited to any meeting at all, by email, by text, by snail mail, or anything, to talk about the development of this issue. Where's the township? They're not even here tonight. We did get, by the way, the letter from the ladies here, I think from the commission, and a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and we looked it up today on the computer and found 21 more pages that weren't included in here, and read up on them, things like that. There are a few other issues. Well, in the interest of keeping harmony in my family, I'm not going to say any more.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I could address that as well. The county requires a recommendation from the township, but we don't require they do a hearing on it. Some townships choose to, most do not do a hearing, most do not notify neighbors. I don't know if Sauk Center did or didn't, but it's not a requirement.
Please read the recommendation from the township.
Yeah, the recommendation says no neighbors opposed.
That what?
It says no neighbors opposed.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
So maybe for their benefit, I don't know if we can make a recommendation, but they should be talking to the township about their concern. There's not much that we can do about that, about how their procedural things as
Right.
far as approving.
Yep.
So your complaint is maybe best directed to your township board.
And then also, to add to that, so what we're doing here is we're doing the zoning conversion from an R1 to an R5. As this moves forward, the township will have a further consideration of when you're building your structure. So what we're looking at here with the county commission, we're not approving the house or the gymnasium or any of that. We're just approving the zoning. The township board will have another bite at the apple when the application for the provisional use comes in. So,
Mr. Chair, but Jennifer, since it's R5, wouldn't this be a permitted use and it'll just be procedurally come through to the county and not through the township?
Actually, Mr. Chair, being that it's not in shoreland, the township will do the permit. It'll be a construction site permit for the home, or it'll be a construction site permit for the building, but then also registering the provisional use, which is the home occupation. So there's two approvals needed. And then the septic system permit would come from our office.
Here, one more question.
yes.
What about use? It's going to be used as a gymnasium, okay, now, but what about future use? Could that use change to something that we're not looking at potentially approving?
Such as? Just curious.
Commercial use.
Mr. Chair, that again would have to fit within the current zone, which if it's approved, it'd have to fit within a R5, and then the township would have to review it. If there was a change in use, it would have to go through the township for approval. Now, in the R5, I can say there are not commercial uses allowed without a home there. So if you have a home, You can have a home extended business or a home occupation, but you could not have a commercial business without a residence there in the R5 zone.
So then the correspondence we have is from the township recommending approval of the rezoning.
That's correct. And I didn't receive any other written correspondence.
Okay.
There was a couple other conditions that we've met, because there was boats and stuff there, so we got all that cleaned up too. That was one of the conditions, like, hey, if this isn't done, there's no consideration for it.
Okay.
So you can see the boats actually in there now. I sent her a video of it. It's all been cleaned up.
So I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Tara, second.
I'll second.
Second by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Additional information. Additional discussion.
I have a question, and it goes back to the eventual finding of facts here. The lots that we approved a few months ago for the Linda Ostendorf Trust, were those, remind me again, were those all going from R1 to R5?
They're going from ag.
Or just ag to residential? Okay.
Yep, that one from ag to R5.
To R5. So it's, the R5 is still compatible with that area is what I'm trying to figure out.
Yep.
Other discussion from the board? All right, hearing none, we'll move forward from the findings of fact. Is the proposal consistent with the zoning ordinance? Why or why not? And we are just looking at the R1 to R5 conversion.
Mr. Chair, I think as the staff has explained it, according to the county's zoning ordinance, the zoning request is compatible because of the home-based business and the need to have that as an R5 instead of an R1. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
Thank you, Tara. Does the proposal conform to the comprehensive plan of the county? Please list applicable sections.
Mr. Chair, I would say that it does. It specifically living goals, number 2, manage the impacts of growth and development on the county's rural character and natural resources. This particular lot, I do not believe really has, we're not taking ag land out of production or anything like that, and it supports housing options. Number 3, supports housing options that give people in all stages in all economic means viable choices for safe, stable, and affordable homes.
Thank you. Is the proposal compatible with the existing neighborhood? Why or why not?
Mr. Chair, I would say it will be when you look at the broader map and you see the R5s and the R1s, that whole area is in transition. And it's one of those items that in our 2040 plan, this area was designated that we'd see a lot of transition going on.
Thank you. How has the applicant demonstrated that standards and criteria stated in the ordinance will be satisfied?
Mr. Chair, I think as it pertains to the criteria and the standards in the ordinance, the applicant has demonstrated that they've met those by their testimony here tonight and the staff report.
Thank you. Are there any other issues pertinent to this matter?
I would, Mr. Chair, I would say the contested letter of approval by the township is pertinent to this matter.
Other issues? I would like to add one. This is the action of the applicant is desired action is allowable under the R1. And this is, we are requested to do this motion because the township has an ordinance that they want to work around.
Mm-hmm.
So, other issues? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for this, and I do not believe there are any conditions from staff, recommended conditions.
Correct.
Mr. Chair, do we have clarity on access to this property and depending on where the house is built, do we have access established and or approved?
Well, they have that easement. Can you bring that on? On the southeast corner,
Yeah.
right where the pointer's at?
Okay, yep. I know we talked about that, but is that has been approved?
Has the township weighed in on that?
Yeah, they've talked about it. So that's the only one that we're gonna get because they're not gonna allow one off of State Highway 28, and they're not gonna allow another one off Highway 71 for safety reasons, so.
So that is documented? That easement?
That easement is documented, yes.
Yeah, it's a recorded, it's a recorded
okay.
right of way,
Okay.
which is,
There was 3 easements, like I said, I was told there was 3 easements at one time. I just know 2 of them, but I was told there's a 3rd one, but now there's a septic system on it. So.
Well, yeah. Okay.
You're better at reading maps than I am, I think.
Well, Mr. Chair, I will make a motion that we approve going from an R1 to an R5.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. This will be heard at the next county commissioner. So thank you for your time and thank you for the public hearing. We appreciate your comments.
Can I ask one? So what's the township laying on you that they should just be able to take care of?
So I think to summarize some of the discussion, under the county, so with the county zoning ordinance, the R1, this is an allowable action under R1. So the reason you're coming here is because according to the township law zoning, they don't allow this kind of activity in the R1, but they do in the R5. So in general, when we look at counties, if the township wants to go more stringent, they're perfectly within their rights to do so. But the concern some of the board members are saying is they have this more stringent, but they don't want to follow it. So it's sort of like they have this thing and coming back saying, can you help us? Is sort of where I think some of the board members are expressing some concern. Mr. Persky.
Yeah, Jennifer, could they have permitted it to go into the R1, put it into a 5-acre piece, and given him a variance?
it is a performance standard. A variance could be requested from it.
And that would have gone just to them and not to us because we don't have the restriction on that, correct?
Right.
They didn't want to do their job.
Like I said, I knew all this. This lady right here has been a godsend to help go through all this stuff. So,
I think my concern is, one, if you want to have more stringent local policies, then they should follow them. But two, the other issue is as it pertains to landowners in that area, it seems like a picking and choosing type situation then. And it does put burden on those landowners when they want to do something, because now they have to come and go through a lot of bureaucratic hoops to get something done that they are told they can't, but then they can, but then they can't. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't want to be how do I say, fighting what's going on.
Yep.
It's like, let's just move along, work together to make things work.
Yeah, this isn't you. This is not you.
It's a township issue.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so in other words, I didn't have to spend all that money to come down here necessarily.
That's what I mean. It's a burden. It's a financial burden. It's a time constraint on your projects, and for businesses, it's a burden. You know, you have a window that could have been taken care of in a month, and now how many months have you been working on this? So
Well, the plot hasn't been approved yet, finally. It's getting close, I'm guessing. I know it's close.
yeah,
but-
it's just extra. It's just extra red tape that doesn't need to happen.
I might bring it back to their concern after I get my permit.
We move on.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work with the kids too.
I wouldn't do it otherwise. I teach, otherwise I don't think I would teach if it wasn't for sports and stuff, so.
Yeah.
So agenda item number 5, minutes. I'm assuming you've all read them in great detail. There will be a quiz on them, but for the moment, do we have a motion to approve minutes?
Make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Minutes have been approved. Agenda item number 6, Robert Rules of Order. The presenter was unavailable today. Those will come to us via email or some other format in the future.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, shoot.
I have the book if you want it. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
And
it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have adjourned the meeting. The next one is July 25th. Thank you for your attendance.
Jennifer, so that we're not gonna have the presentation, we are on our own to do it?
I don't think it's been decided yet. She won't be